Welcome back, everybody. My name's Rachel, and this is my book club. Is that right? In 4 weeks from now. Welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So I wanted to talk about these two books. Like I mentioned in my last video, we have Raiders of the Lost Heart and In the Lives of Puppets. And I read these two books back to back, and after reading them, I kind of got inspired to think more about why so many authors and so many movie producers kind of remake the same stories or retell the same fairy tales. I thought that was kind of interesting after reading these two, so let's talk about it. From books turned into TV shows and movies to fairy tales that are spun into new versions of animation and live action, we get to see some of our favorite stories retold through new forms of media over and over again. But why? These other retellings can be really exciting or sometimes really disappointing. So what makes a retelling worth retelling? So I want to start off by talking a little bit about storytelling in general. Storytelling is as old as humanity itself. We tell stories to connect, to share experiences with one another, to understand our place in the world, to preserve history. Storytelling has been around as long as humanity has been around. And when a story resonates with us, I think that makes it even more important that we see it created in new and improved ways. However, not all retellings do justice to the original story that they are based on. Sometimes changing the tone or straying too far from the story that you are actually basing your retelling on can kind of ruin it. It can result of the version of the story that does not live up to the essence of the original. This can result in something that fails to capture what made the original story so great. And this is where we kind of get to talk about why retelling a story is a delicate art. So the book that inspired me to kind of think about the delicate retelling of stories was when I read Raiders of the Lost Heart. So obviously by the title, this book is taking a lot from Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And when I saw this, I was really excited to try and read a book that's based off of something that I already know and I already enjoy. It's meant to be a rom-com, so it's meant to be lighthearted. So, in my head, knowing what I know about romance books and knowing what I know about Indiana Jones, I'm thinking that this book's going to be really fun and lighthearted and super action-packed and adventurous. And that's just not really what I got. I wasn't too keen on the romance in this book, and it wasn't amply supported by the action that I thought was going to be there, that kind of adventure-seeking, thrilling aspect of the story, which I feel like could normally make up for the romance if I didn't like it, but kind of felt like neither was there. And since this book was meant to be kind of an ode to Indiana Jones, kind of in representation of a lot of things that we know and love about the Indiana Jones series, I was surprised to see that it didn't live up to that expectation. So there's a very fine line in between taking creative liberties and kind of altering the story to really altering its soul. The key is to balance the original themes and underlying aspects of the story that we know and love, and then turning that into something new, taking the very core of what it's meant to be, and then, adding a new layer of icing on top. You want to take these new creative visions without losing what made the story special in the first place. Some of my favorite examples from, more recently of books to movie and TVs would be the most recent adaptation of Dune with Timothée Chalamet and then the Witcher series on Netflix. I think both of these do a really good job with, new and modern special effects, making the visuals really, really powerful, while also sticking true to what is at the core of each of those stories beyond just the setting and the characters that we adore so much. And some of my least favorite adaptations would be definitely the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action movie. That was just bad. I'm really sorry. The original show of Avatar: The Last Airbender to this day is one of my favorite stories, TV shows ever, period. And that live action really did not live up to that story at all. Very disappointing. And also Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I read that book when I was in middle school, and the movie came out not that long after, and it just did not stick to a lot of the main themes from the book, which was very sad to kind of see that they took it, in my opinion, a little too far off of the beaten path of that story. Now, of course, when you introduce a new adaptation of something, a book to a movie or a TV show to a video game to a different book, you are welcome to add in different elements. And that's what makes readapting these stories onto new mediums so powerful, is when you take a book and you turn it into a movie, you get visuals that obviously you are only ever imagining in your head. And certain scenes are a lot more powerful when you have that extra aid. Or same with when they make, let's say, a movie into a video game, and then you get to kind of experience the character in the world in a different light. Each of these experiences that you get to have in these different mediums is what impacts your experience with the story. And something else that's really amazing, again, mostly considering, books to movie and TV, is that it's now 2024. And so we have seen, of course, insane advancements in how they do effects in movies and how they can do visuals and sounds, and they can just add so much more to make it so realistic and make the scenes even more powerful and moving for fairy tales and for stories that were hardly plausible or really difficult to execute. And now it's infinitely easier and they look infinitely better. Being able to have these additional special effects just makes the content that you're making that much more engaging and that much more fun. So when it comes to the retelling of stories, I specifically would like to touch on fairy tales. These are stories that have been told for thousands of years that we're still seeing retold and reimagined again and again to this very day. They tap into timeless themes, love, bravery, pure good versus pure evil, the essence of humanity. These themes tap into pieces of our humanity that do not get worn over time. These are things that resonate with us as humans. So a great example of this would be Beauty and the Beast. Originally written in 1740, this story has already been retold by Disney twice in my lifetime and in 100 other ways that you can't even imagine. This story at its core is about love beyond appearances. One of my favorite books that I just read, I put this video up on my channel, is A Court of Thorns and Roses, is a reimagination of Beauty and the Beast. And I mean, if you really think about it, like even Shrek is just a remodeled version of the classic fairy tale. And this aspect of retelling fairy tales for me was inspired by the other book that I read, which was In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. I adored this book. I absolutely love this book. I could not put it down. It made me feel so happy inside. In this book, we have the need to experience humanity, just like you have in the original fairy tale for Pinocchio. I thought this novel was hilarious and beautifully written in a way that is really hard to express what it feels like to be human. And meanwhile, the setting and the characters were different in a lot of ways, but it really called back to what is at the core of Pinocchio. In the briefest way I can explain, In the Lives of Puppets is all about what it is like to feel. Surrounded by robots, Victor struggles to recognize his own feelings as a person while also mentoring his robot family on what it's like to feel and to be alive. We follow our squad of robots and Victor to go save his dad in the city, and this provides a really adventurous landscape for our characters to come together as a family. And you really watch Victor break down what it is like when he feels sad or when he's having a good time with his little robot family. And it really boils down to just feeling good and feeling bad and feeling human. And I thought that message was really, really powerfully conveyed in the story, and I absolutely loved it. So really, retelling stories is about being able to capture the essence of universal experiences. Having these universal experiences and timeless themes helps us relate to the stories and their characters, no matter how old the story is. When you're telling a story and the characters are experiencing, these kind of universal experiences that we all have of pain, of sadness, of struggle, of love, it doesn't matter how old the story is because we just experience those things in a different way. It's a way of understanding the world and our place in it and how we feel along with other people alongside us, how they also are experiencing so many similar things. And they too have stories of things that we relate to. Even with a bigger emergence of science fiction as a genre, it is just another way to show how we can live and love and suffer as humanity. And we can live and laugh and suffer as people. Referencing Dune again, originally written by Frank Herbert in 1965, we are shown an incredibly complicated and technically advanced future in the stars across the universe. And still, Paul's main objective in this war-torn future is to protect his people and save the one that he loves. So all in all, my personal opinion is that retelling of stories is incredibly powerful. I don't necessarily think that we need to turn every Disney animated movie into a live action, but I do appreciate the creative freedom that comes with being able to see a story that you love so much told in a new way and told in a new light. It can be really powerful when it's done right, when you're still sticking to something that resonates with the consumer. And I think that's something really powerful that you can do really well and you can do really poorly. There are certainly plenty of opportunities that have been missed when people have kind of taken advantage of stories and not done them justice. You know, maybe they've twisted them a little too much, maybe they've taken it a little too far, maybe it just simply was an idea that was taken and then not written out to its full potential and just written or acted out poorly. There is a lot of opportunities with the nostalgia of familiar stories. When we see a story that we have loved time and time again, you should always give it a chance to get better. You should always give it a chance to be retold in an even better way. Just remember, the art of retelling is a tightrope walk between respect for the original and the excitement of the new. When done right, it can breathe new life into the stories we hold dear. Our love for retold stories stems from our deep connection with storytelling itself. Whether it's through a book, a movie, or TV, these stories transcend time and medium, continuing to enchant us with timeless themes that we hold dear. Tell me in the comments below, what's your favorite retold story? Is it a fairy tale? Is it something completely different that you've seen done multiple times? And do you prefer classic stories, or do you like a lot of the modern retellings that we see? Let me know. Thank you guys for listening to my rant about storytelling, about re-storytelling. For these books, as a quick recap of what I read to get to this video, this book, this was a 2-star for me, which is really low. I'm really hesitant to go with low 3, but this was a 2. This, however, was a 5. This is a 5-star read, and I will be reading more TJ Klune in the future after this because I loved this book, and you should read it too. Thank you guys again for tuning into this video. I know it was a little different, so let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll be going over The Serpent and the Wings of Night in 2 weeks. This book was crazy. Okay, but it was really crazy for I actually did the math, the last 36 pages. Went from a 3 to a 5-star book in the last 36 pages. So I don't even know what I'm going to talk about with this book, really. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I am excited. So 3 weeks from now, I am going to be going over Crescent City and the entire trilogy. The 3rd book comes out on January 30th, and so I'm going to try and read it really fast and write a whole video and record it and post it by February 10th. February 10th. So stay tuned, subscribe so you can see when I post those videos. Thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate you, and see you next time.